Arsenal have not conceded more than 2 goals in a match for 466 days. Does this mean they might be able to win the Champions League?
They've got the best defense in the Premier League. I mean, that's factual. It's been proven last season and this season. So they've got the. I mean, this is why everyone says they need a striker to win the league. I think in the Champions League, look, I don't think they'll win it, but I don't think they're not going to win it just because they haven't got a striker. Because we've seen Mourinho has won Champions Leagues on defense, and the good thing is that Real Madrid are an attacking side. So when teams attack Arsenal, that they struggle against teams that sit back, like United did and like West Ham did. So I wouldn't say it's impossible. I wouldn't say they're going to win it. They're not one of my favourite. They're not in my favourite top 2. I'd still say it's Real Madrid, Barcelona, but they've got a chance. I think if they beat Real Madrid, I think they'll suddenly become very much very excited Arsenal fans. But what a turn up for the books it would be if they did that.
It would. I think a lot of people do easy prophecies with Arsenal. They kind of make impossible, no way they're winning. They know that they're underdogs, so they make these massive claims that it's impossible so they can look like a genius at the end of it when they're only predicting what's the most likely outcome. It's almost like, you're not a genius for saying tomorrow morning the sun will rise. I honestly look at it from that perspective. But when you think, if they haven't conceded for the best part of 18 months, more than 2 goals in a game, if that defense holds up to that level, it is incredible. And if that defense holds up over those 2 matches, that gives them half a chance. Martinelli's back. Looks like Saka's going to be returning. The idea they've got 0 chance, that it's impossible, that they cannot beat Real Madrid, I just find that to be, it's an exaggeration for me. It's over the top. It's a very simplistic prophecy, so they can brag. I told you I was right. And I just feel like Arsenal, I don't know about you, I just feel like they get a lot of disrespect from the media, from punditry, which I just feels a little bit, when you consider the size of the club, who the manager is, where they were 4 or 5 years ago, there seems to be a hell of a lot of ridicule surrounding them compared to other teams in England.
Well, I think also it's in their own fan base. Like there are still people out there that printed T-shirts and and they've, we get it at United. This "I told you so." There's people in the United fan base who made their mind up about Agate or De Ligt or Rasmus or Xerxes, and they don't change their mind. And that's the same with Arsenal and Arteta. That I said Arteta out, so I'm. It's almost like that when Arsenal win, they're not happy. And I mean, look, how can you be a fan of a football club, be handed that evidence that you haven't conceded 2 goals in 18 months and go, Arteta out, he's not that good? I mean, you literally need a striker. And that's just another affirmation that you literally need a striker. Like, if you put a striker in that team, you've already got the defence, the midfield. Like, I think, I've said it before, I don't know whether I want to say it, but I sort of think Arsenal will win the league next year.
Oh, big claim there, people. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. A lot of those Arteta outers, though, they don't want him to get any more money. They don't want him to get a striker, which is also, again, I feel there is a percentage. You can't put every, person into the same box. I think there's a percentage of Gooners that just want to be right, that Arteta wasn't good enough. So the idea that they might get Isak or Gyökeres or Osimhen and then win the league, I think it almost scares them, because it means they'd have to admit they were wrong, which, I don't know. It's not they won't. That can will be getting kicked down that road for 30 years. We've seen it with Ronaldo. There are people that when he turned like 38, 39, was no longer the Cristiano Ronaldo at his peak. I remember seeing people do full-length videos. Do you remember 10 years ago when I said he was a fraud? Now this proves it. And I look at it and just think the shameless behavior is crazy. But I suppose that's football fans for you. Now, speaking of football fans, did you see what Jamie Carragher said in the build-up to the Carabao Cup final?
I did. He said he said it on the Redmen, didn't he? Redmen TV. Yes. He said that basically the Carabao Cup's better than the FA Cup, which is obviously preposterous. The The only thing I would agree with him on that is that the FA Cup lands at a bad time. Like, it lands in January, February, March, when if you're in the Premier League, Champions League, it can be a bit of a hindrance. Whereas the Carabao Cup, you get it out of the way early, don't you? A lot of it, but it's just simply not true. Though the FA Cup is not and never will be smaller than the Carabao Cup. That's what he's, if he's indicating that.
It is. I saw this tweet actually that got put out. And it says Carragher is like a sulky child, not saying a word, not asking questions, face like a slap task. Absolutely wonderful. And it's even his separation after the game. He's meant to be working. He's meant to be an independent sort of pundit and not biased. But he's not even standing with everybody else, Mark. He's away from everybody. He didn't ask a single question in this period. I mean, there was some massive sour grapes from him on Sunday. There really was.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that Carragher has been caught on the spot and reacted badly, isn't it? I mean, we've seen numerous clips on and off the camera, but I think he's you can see it with Carragher. I've always, I mean, I couldn't give a toss anymore about it, but there was times where I thought, I'd love to have a debate with Carragher or a Neville or something like that. And I understand why they won't do it, and that's absolutely fine. But one of the things with Carragher why I always wanted to do it is because I can just see how when he's lost it, you've got him. His face goes a little bit red, and that's a prime example of when Carragher's lost it. There is a lack of composure there sometimes with him. I think he's a good pundit, but I just think he can't control his emotions, and that's just prime example of like a spoiled little child sat there, caught in 4K. Carabao Cup's better than the FA Cup, and then you lose it.
Yeah, that was the bit that I liked the most, because the thing about these claims, and it's not all Liverpool fans, I want to specify that, but there's a percentage of them that whenever they're doing something very good, they always want it to be seen as better. It could be one of the most amazing things ever, but that's not good enough. You've got to say it's the most. They did it with talking about Man United created the term the treble. The treble never existed until 99. We've done it before them. If we win the Champions League and the Carabao Cup, it is still the same as Man United and City's trebles, which is a nonsense. The treble has existed since the 1960s. They chased it in the 70s and we stopped them from doing it. And there was a very distinct phrase and difference between winning a treble, winning 3 trophies in a season, and doing the treble. Then they tried doing it now. Carragher tried doing it on the eve of a Carabao Cup final in 2025. For the first time ever, professional pundits and a fan base are talking about how it's better, harder, more difficult, some even said more prestigious than the FA Cup. And you're sitting there and it's like, this is the same fan base that mocked Man United for winning it 2 years ago. So I can't, for me, it was poorly timed. It was if you're going to start pushing that narrative, you've got to start it way in advance. You can't do it on the eve of the final and then losing it. I just think, as you say, it made it sweeter. It made it taste a lot better for us as rivals of Liverpool, for me personally.
I think somebody in the chat might be able to find the comment, but I'm pretty sure a few years ago he said that the treble, I mean, it's not a treble. The treble that Man United did, they did a treble that was better, according to him. Or he tried to say it wasn't far off. And that was when they won the Europa League, which was the UEFA Cup, the FA Cup, and the Carabao Cup in one season. And I think he went along the lines of, well, they're all knockout tournaments, so there's more jeopardy, so therefore it was harder. I was like, you're literally comparing the Champions League, the Premier League, and the FA Cup to the Europa League, which is literally the Poundland Champions League, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. But so he's got form for it, I think.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Viewers, hit the like and the share button.